We are at the Learning Conversations in Heidelberg, and I'm here with Helen, Günther, and Sylvie, and we talk about international TA, and my first question is who you are and what is your context.
I'm Helen Ross. I live in Scotland in the UK, and I'm an organisational development consultant with a passion for working with organisations that are seeking profound change.
So I'm Günther Mohr from Germany, and my context is very differentiated because I have started as a psychotherapist and now being trained as an economist and a psychologist. I'm working as a coach and organizational developer, and I'm very fascinated by systemic work and the combination to TA, and therefore I'm here.
I'm Sylvie Rossi. I am coming from Italy, and I always develop both fields at the same time, the clinical one, and I am still a psychotherapist, and the organizational one as well, since I've been working for many, many years as an executive director for a health organization. And I'm very, very interested in cultural professional exchange on a European level in the TA field. I think we can learn a lot from each other.
Thank you. So on the floor, I met a lot of people with different contexts and different inspirations. What is your reason, what is your inspiration to be here on this conference today?
I'm inspired by the possibility of sharing ideas internationally and growing TA as a conceptual and theoretical framework about systems through dialogue.
So the main reason for me to be here is content reason. I'm always interested in developing the content more to further the whole material of systemic TA. I think we have a good start, and there is a good base for it, but there are certain challenges today that we have to face, and therefore I'm here and I'm always like to discuss with colleagues about what I'm doing and what they are doing. I'm in favor of being with colleagues.
I've always considered TA as part of the systemic world, and I was very much a loner in my country in thinking in this way. So when there was this opportunity, and we started last year with Bern and Rosemary, I thought it was a fascinating opportunity. And so this is the reason why I'm here, to go ahead in this direction, thinking together. And I'm very interested in processes.
So what did you imagine? What did you imagine before you got here that it might be like?
Well, I had lots of different pictures in my mind. I thought it could be a very colorful kind of puzzle of people coming from different realities. And at the same time, I thought it was interesting to meet in Germany, because Germany for Italians is a very, has both a very interesting, has both some kind of colorfulness in terms of being a country where there have always been extremes, strictness on one side and extremes on the others. So I thought it would be a very interesting combination.
So as a German, that's an interesting topic that you raise in the moment. Well, I think especially for the systemic TA, we can say that TA was found in the US by Eric Berne, and but the systemic TA has its roots in Germany, so to say. I want to mention Bernd Schmidt in this context. I somehow see him as the founder of systemic TA. As well, there are other people in the US who had similar ideas, but to make it a real approach to TA and to make it a real idea, or to make it a product or something, a brand, that is to thank Bernd Schmidt. And therefore it's good to be in Heidelberg at this place, and I think to develop it even further, we are at a good point now.
And I think what's really exciting about this event is that we're talking about systemic TA and creating a system in order to do it. So not only are we talking about what we're passionate about, we're also talking about what it's like to be a system and to contemplate and reflect on what happens in our experience in this couple of days.
So for me, the question raises, what is getting you in? What is your reason to contribute to this idea and also to the conversation? Maybe we can start this time on the other side.
I think that what I learned last year in the meeting we had in Oxford with Bernd Schmidt, and what I thought was extremely interesting was the ideas that were presented in terms of roles and the importance of roles within a systemic thinking. So I'm really looking forward also, as Ellen said before, to go on in developing ideas and to bring forward an approach with very definite and clear boundaries compared to the kind of, compared to where I'm coming from in Italy, where there have been, where TA has been in the different schools expressing very different approaches really, especially the neo-Bernian one, which is a neo-psychoanalytic approach. So I'm really interested in becoming part of a community that has that identifies with a different kind of model.
So for you, the community is the major point on these conversations?
For now, yes. I need to. I'm interested in seeing more. Yes, for now, the community is a very interesting part of this whole process, as well as the possibility of thinking together.
So to add to your question and answer, well, my aim to say it somehow egoistic is also to bring some contributions in. I worked on the field of systemic transactional analysis, especially on systemic organizational analysis, and I think I developed some very interesting concepts that are used in Germany, for example, by a lot of people now in their practice, and to spread it out in the whole TA area. That is also an aim for me, not only to take but also to give.
Yes, I feel the same. I came with two professional roles, one of which is a transactional analyst, an organizational transactional analyst. My other role is an organizational development consultant. And I'm really curious to find out during these 2 days what emerges in terms of my own learning and how I can contribute to other people's. And I think that's one of the most exciting things is I've come with all sorts of ideas and imaginings about how it might be and who I might meet and what we might talk about, but actually I don't know. And so I'm quite excited to see what happens.
I recognize two major points. The one was community, the other was like learning. And there have been also other organizations until now. So there has to be a lack or something that you say, I need something more. And I got a little notion of this, but maybe you can focus a little bit on what was the lack, what do you expect from this initiative? What is the lack we are trying to, or the gap we're trying to close at the moment? Maybe we start this time in the middle?
Well, thank you for this question. To be open, there is a lack. You can talk about interesting contents and interesting schools in psychology and professional world, and they last for some years and then they die. The most of them die. And TA was started in the 1960s, And as you mentioned, the psychoanalytic revival in TA is one point, but I think the only way that can make TA survive, especially in the organizational field, is that there is an integration of systemic and the individual personal concepts of TA. And on the other hand, it is a very important connection. We are far more than the pure systemic people, because we have with TA, we have a personality concept and a communication and relational concept that other approaches like the pure systemic schools don't have. Therefore, and we are here, and I hope that we can focus on this. It's an asset, on this asset we have, and to develop that further, and also to make some kind of network of it. We need an organization to develop that further. So.
Yes, on my side, in terms of sharing and contributing of whatever the learnings will be, which I'm very eager and interested in taking, is also to support some kind of to support systemic thinking for clinical people and psychotherapy people, because I think that to have a systemic thinking when you're working with clients also in psychotherapy is extremely important to be effective on the psychotherapeutic field. And I think that a connection between, not really a connection, but an interchange between the organizational field and the psychotherapeutic field can foster much more effectiveness in learning. And I think, I don't know how to say this well in English, I think that the systemic TA approach can be a very good teoria ponte, bridge theory, to put together also clinical people with clinical TA people with organizational TA people. So that's my interest in terms of contribution to bring back also to my own country.
I see that there's two opportunities, well, there's a lot, but the two that come to mind for me are the focus on systemic TA, which is, this is the first time I came to something which had that single focus, apart from the workshops that Bernd's done down in England. The other one is the opportunity for us as transactional analysts to think at a meta level about our own community. So in a traditional conference, we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't look at how the conference is working and see what themes and learning come from that. So for me, that's an exciting and new opportunity for us.
You mentioned a very special format of this conference, the openness, the idea to stream it in the internet. And you told me a lot about content, like what should be the outcome in form of new ideas. What's your personal aim, your goal contributing here? What should be the outcome of the days? What should be evolve?
I think that's an interesting question, because I don't feel attached to a particular outcome. For me, it's the quality of our presence here, our ability to be in relationship, to be present to whatever happens, to be alive, to be engaged, and then see what happens. So if I come with an outcome that I'm fixed on, my experience is sometimes I miss what's here. So I'm really engaged, really present to see what happens.
So that's an interesting question, because I think we need some new forms of developing and of learning, and I think we do the same like the new political party in Germany, the Pirates, do. They have this tool of liquid feedback, what means that you start with a paper and people are adding their opinions to it, and then there is an assessment where we are, and then then you go further, and you do it in a somehow democratic way, and it's a kind of open way. Therefore, I also don't know where are we going and what will be the outcome at Sunday. But somehow I'm sure that we will come to a good point, and I'm in this point. I'm convinced that will go its way, not my way, but its way.
Personally, I was thinking while I was on the plane about the outcome, so it's an interesting question that you have asked us. And I came to the conclusion that I had no idea of what the outcome could be, really. And I'm extremely interested, really, in the process. I think the process of interaction among very different people, from what I know of the list of participants, can give rise to many interesting possibilities. I have no idea of what they will be, but I see it as something which is interwoven. So the kind of pattern that comes out of the interweaving, you don't know exactly how it will be if there is if there is a container and a general direction, but in some way things get put together along the way. I like very much this poem of Antonio Machado, which says in Spanish, "Caminante no hay camino, el camino se hace al andar," which says essentially, person who is walking by, there is no definite path ahead. The specific path is built on the way, it makes itself on its way in the process. So this is my idea about this meeting in a certain sense. Then I think some people may have different ideas as well, so which makes it even more interesting.
So it's like we co-create the path rather than follow one.
Exactly,
yeah.
Exactly, that's the idea.
My questions until now were based on the presentation from Bernd Schmidt we will hear today. So I have one idea. So we make one open round, and then we ask Bernd Schmidt to tell us what have been his thoughts about this in a few sentences.
We'll do that later when I welcome people.
Okay. Then we cut this out.
What Sylvie said was wonderful as an ending statement.
Yeah.
So then if it's okay for you, we make 5 minutes open rounds, because everything now was based on these 5 questions. What comes in your mind?
So there's still something in my mind. I think the challenges of today's work in psychotherapy, in organizations, even in politics, is not this certain point of outcome of content, but it's the form. It's the way how we decide, the way how we come close to a topic and how we get into something. And I think that's important. We have to train that. And I was remembered as you told about your frame of presence, about mindfulness, for example, that we here are a lot of very high sophisticated professionals in this 3 days. And so I'm sure that it will come to a good outcome. But I think the real challenge is to find new ways of working together, of learning together, not to have the old way. And more and more I get more open to new forms of it, and I'm very thankful for having learned a lot in the last years about new forms that I never saw before. Like when I was talking before about this kind of deep democracy or liquid feedback or these kind of things, and I think we will do that here.
In thinking about the comments of both my colleagues and about the group who will be here, I think it's a question of being together on an equal level. I think that at conferences are very often showcases, and they are really the result of that people bring of their thinking, but it's sort of closed in a way. Here I think the characteristic is that it's open and that there is a sort of equal basis among the participants who are here. So I think the format is extremely interesting, and I think it can produce very interesting things because of this kind of format. So I'm very interested also in this liquid kind of feedback that Thomas was talking about, because it's new and interesting to me. So I already got an interesting input to think about more.
So let me add this thing that I'm sure that we have a very intensive process here. I was engaged to be a provocateur, what means to give a provocative statement, not to make a case study and so. But we have to really to challenge ourselves, and I think in the coming days we will have interesting discussions, and we will also work with provocative methods, and that will bring emotions, that will bring discussions, and that will make it interesting and a vivid conference, I think.
And I think the possibility for us to work with meaning rather than answers and solutions is really exciting. So we're a cross-cultural group. We're different fields within transactional analysis asking real questions about not only transactional analysis but our professions as well, and to find out what exists and what's significant for us as systemic practitioners right now, I think is a real opportunity.